The heartbreaking and sadly familiar news has gone out once again within just the last few minutes that a law enforcement officer has been killed in the line of duty in Colorado. This time an El Paso County Sheriff's deputy killed during an incident tonight on the east side of town. The death being confirmed by Denver police and the Colorado State Patrol, which are offering condolences to the sheriff's office and to that fallen deputy's family. We have yet to hear this directly from the El Paso County Sheriff's Office, but they are expecting to brief the media any moment now. That is a news conference which you will see here live on our air. These pictures are not live. These are from earlier today, as aired on our affiliate KOAA down in the Springs. This is in the area of Galley Road and Murray Boulevard for the people who know Colorado Springs well. Very little information has been provided about the incident that led to the injuries to what we believe are several officers. This is obviously east of Academy, out on the east side of town. They're simply referring to this as a critical incident, and then later an officer-involved shooting. We know that officers on the scene at Galley and Murray radioed in that they had 3 officers down. Rob Quirk, who's the lead anchor at KOAA, our affiliate there in the Springs, is reporting that there is one El Paso County Sheriff's deputy who has died, and there is another officer in surgery. Notable, the press conference that we are waiting for any moment now, which is coming from Memorial Hospital, is expected to be a joint press conference between the El Paso County Sheriff's Office and the Colorado Springs Police Department. They said that all suspects involved in this incident are accounted for, providing no other details other than just simply all suspects accounted for. But clearly we are watching law enforcement in Colorado mobilize for the 3rd time in 6 weeks following the death of an officer. The FBI office in Denver tweeting out about this incident at Galley and Murray in the Springs, saying, "We stand with our law enforcement partners at the Sheriff's Office and the Colorado Springs Police Department tonight in grieving with everyone impacted by another senseless act of violence in our community." Those thoughts echoed by the Denver Police Department, which tweeted, "Sending love to the Sheriff's Office and Police Department. Deepest condolences to the family of the fallen officer." And the Colorado State Patrol barracks up in Larimer County sent out a message. Heartbreaking, they said. A sheriff's deputy in El Paso County was shot and killed, and 2 other deputies were injured today. They wrote, "When will this senseless violence end? We are mourning for our blue family." If that news conference begins in El Paso County, we will take you down there live. If we learn anything more about the shooting that has killed an El Paso County Sheriff's deputy this evening, we will bring it to you here. We're going to move on and cover just a bit of the other news of the day. Significant development out of El Paso County as their former sheriff walked out of his trial, not guilty on 2 counts of official misconduct. The jury was unable to reach a unanimous decision on the case against Terry Makita for extortion and conspiracy to commit extortion. Imagine, if you would, imagine having such sway at Denver City Hall that as you leave one job, another job is created out of thin air for you. Stephanie OMalley is leaving the last in a long string of jobs for her at Denver City Hall. She's sliding into a new position in the mayor's office. Those of you who have been around town for a while know that OMalley is the daughter of former Mayor Wellington Webb. She was most recently the city's top law enforcement official. She oversaw the police and the fire and sheriff's office. Her official title was a manager of public safety. Our Marshall Zellinger looks into the new job created for OMalley.
I don't know the record of tenure, but I got to tell you, 4 years is amazing for anyone serving in the director's role of public safety.
Mayor Michael Hancock is replacing the top law enforcement boss. Stephanie OMalley is out, and this guy, Troy Riggs, her deputy hired last year, is in. The change is happening while OMalley's office investigates the chief and deputy chief for their actions regarding public records during a sexual assault case in 2016.
This investigation had no bearing on the decision here. Stephanie OMalley's not being asked to move along. She was ready for a change, and I needed a certain skill set in my office.
OMalley, who was previously the mayor's deputy chief of staff, is going back to his office as special assistant to the mayor.
I thank him for that honor and for the opportunity to continue to serve in his administration.
We found out this is a new job created by the mayor, paid for out of his budget. It's actually a pay cut for OMalley, from $168,000 as safety manager to $145,000.
Stephanie will lead coordination among city agencies regarding opportunities for qualified minority and women firms on city projects.
Denver has an ordinance that requires city projects to hire a certain percentage of businesses owned by women or minorities. The quota is based on each project. The mayor mentioned DIA's Great Hall redevelopment and the National Western Complex as projects OMalley can help facilitate. But Denver's Office of Economic Development already does work like that. In this 2016 final report, Denver reported getting close to their goal of hiring minority and women-owned businesses for construction, slightly off their goal for professional services like architecture and design, and above and beyond for professional services like marketing and janitorial. Now, since the Office of Economic Development already does some of that work, I asked if she would just be duplicating someone else's work. I got a lot of words back in an email, Kyle, and essentially I'm told, we welcome the additional resources. As for the new manager of safety, he worked with Chief Robert White over in Louisville. The chief is under investigation. This new guy takes over that investigation. He says he'll recommend based on the investigation, but let the mayor have the final say.
Sure. Not to be cynical, and I know we are not cynical people around here, but I think there are a lot of folks out there who would love to be paid more than $100,000 to do a job that somebody else presumably is already doing. Not that we're cynical. That was not a question, so you do not have to respond to it with an answer. Marshall, thank you. When disaster happens, emergency responders, they react on instinct, and there's value in that. But what if they could also simultaneously react based on data? I mean, they could make even better split-second decisions, one would think. Our Anusha Roy has the story of a woman who's helping to bring better technology and better information to those who come running when the worst happens.
The images are hard to forget when you've seen them firsthand.
All of us emergency managers have our heart in the right place.
The lessons Sarah Thunberg learned responding to the Waldo Canyon fires and Hurricane Katrina, where she helped with evacuations.
But those decisions are made currently a lot on gut instinct.
Are lessons hard to let go.
So we can really do better.
She co-founded a startup called Geospiza with Craig Caleb, taking gut instinct out of the equation,
whether it be a Twitter feed or the census information,
and replacing it with technology.
The idea is to evolve
when responding to terrorist attacks, mass shootings, and natural disasters.
One of the issues we deal with here in Colorado are wildfires, and the Rocky Mountain Area Coordination Center released this map that shows parts of Colorado already highlighted in red for this month. That's earlier than usual.
In a situation like that,
when we see a map of Denver,
Geospiza can step in
and select a wildfire.
The map turns red around the Lowry neighborhood, showing a high concentration of nursing homes.
Evacuation, or getting them air filters, or getting them additional water.
And can also track flooding danger.
It's wooden, it's older.
And use the data to change how people are evacuated.
So we can evacuate them to these nursing homes.
And actually solve real problems that are going to save people's lives. That's huge.
For next,
we're trying really hard. We can just do better.
I'm Anusha Roy.
She's worked with some emergency managers in Oregon as well, and the company's put in a proposal with Denver Water to take a look at its technology. Not cheap, but then again, we're talking about big operations here. It would cost Denver Water $15,000 a year. So there is no commandment that says thou shalt not covet the Super Bowl MVP, especially when said Super Bowl MVP is a backup quarterback for another team. And we could use one around here. Everybody's talking about Nick Foles and his best game of his life last night. After the Eagles starting quarterback Carson Wentz had a season-ending knee surgery, Foles stepped in, performed well. Are the Eagles really going to keep two top-tier quarterbacks next year? Would the Broncos consider him if he was available? We asked our Mike Kliss.
Thing is, I don't think Philadelphia is going to make Nick Foles available. Carson Wentz suffered his injury in December, and that means there's going to be uncertainty about how soon he can come back next season. He might miss the first month of the season. And if one thing that the Eagles prove to the rest of the NFL is you need an insurance quarterback. Without having two good quarterbacks, the Eagles are not Super Bowl champions. Now, they would probably listen to the offers, but I think it would cost at least a first-round draft pick. The Broncos are going to give up a number 5 pick to Nick Foles, who may have benefited from this great offense, this college spread offense that the Eagles run. I don't think so. And the Broncos have more problems besides just their quarterback position. They need an inside linebacker, a defensive end who can pass rush. So on offense, they have all kinds of needs. I highly doubt that Nick Foles will be the Broncos' target. I think it's much cleaner if they go Kirk Cousins or Case Keenum if he becomes available from the Minnesota Vikings.
In about 10 minutes, we expect that the El Paso County Sheriff Bill Elder and the Colorado Springs Police Chief Pete Carey are going to step to that microphone that is set up at Memorial Hospital. We are expecting them to talk about what several law enforcement agencies have confirmed tonight, which is that an El Paso County Sheriff's deputy was killed in the line of duty today, and that there is at least one other injured officer after some kind of incident on the east side of Colorado Springs. We will bring that briefing to you live here on Next. Also, when we return, if you caught the Super Bowl halftime show last night, you saw Justin Timberlake jump to the stage with a dancer to his side. She's from Denver, you know.
Windy and cool in the metro area. I'm meteorologist Kathy Sabin, but in the high country, heavy snow. Winter storm warnings are posted for difficult travel, down to 24 degrees here in the city after highs in the mid-50s. The area in red where we're anticipating up to a foot of snow. Many of the other mountain areas will see about 6 to 8 inches. Low pressure area sliding from the northwest to the southeast tonight may bring an icy mix to the metro area. A little rain and snow between midnight and 5 a.m. While no accumulation expected for the metro area, it could be impactful for the morning drive as we look for overnight lows well below freezing in the lower 20s, highs tomorrow in the mid-40s. A nice midweek warming trend ahead of another storm and another chance for snow, and this one could be accumulation for Denver again Saturday night into Sunday.
Kathy, thank you. So center stage at the Super Bowl was a Colorado native. That is her right there, up close and personal with Justin Timberlake. The most Colorado thing we saw today was Dana Wilson. There she is right alongside the main attraction at the Super Bowl. She grew up in Aurora. She graduated from Smoky Hill. She's danced on Justin Timberlake's World Tour. I spoke with her today about the challenge of performing for not only a stadium crowd, but also a massive TV audience at the same time.
Actually, it's something that I'm still working on fine-tuning in my performance technique, is dialing the scale of my performance from maybe a 4, which would be, you know, a shot right here, to an 11, which is for the people up in the nosebleeds. And for a show like what we had last night, it definitely was a balance of both.
So Dana Wilson's been dancing since the age of 3. I asked her what advice she would offer to her younger self growing up in Colorado, just starting to chase this dancing dream.
Tell myself, just keep doing what you're doing, and to not be so hard on yourself when you mess up, because that's what teaches you how to be great.
If Dana looks familiar, maybe you recognize her from some of her other dancing and acting work. She has a ton of credits. She's in the opening scene in La La Land, that big dance number. She's also formed her own business with an exceptional name, the Bureau of Nonverbal Communication. We are a few minutes away from a press briefing from Colorado Springs, where we expect to hear from the sheriff about what other law enforcement agencies are saying is the death of one of his deputies today. It would be the first El Paso County Sheriff's deputy killed in the line of duty in 26 years. We'll be right back with that. Still standing by, waiting to hear from the sheriff in El Paso County. So we'll bring you another story in the interim. Tea is a uniter the world over, the center of so many community conversations. And in Northwest Denver, a new business is using tea to teach. Ann Herbst went there.
Green tea, mallow flowers.
Surprising.
Sunflower petals.
Maybe a little confusing.
An odd mix for a tea.
But under William Gomez's careful brewing, all those ingredients come together at Denver's Open Door Tea Shop.
We have soy, coconut.
A new business with as many complexities as the drinks it sells.
I started off in the juvenile system. My mom gave me up at a young age.
William is a shop manager, artist, and barista with a background hard to talk about.
I was incarcerated for 7 years straight.
Assault charges and prison behind him. He found a fresh start.
He's amazing.
At Kristen Cardenas's tea shop.
Something that I feel really, really passionate about is a need for real criminal justice reform, for quality therapy, quality programming.
A lot of my past before incarceration were management jobs. So once I got out of prison, it pretty much closed the doors for all that.
So this business idea is taking a step in that direction to show that these people are able to turn their lives around.
One way she helps do that is through art.
I like having my artwork up.
All of the pieces here are for sale and are created by former or current inmates.
That we can use art as not only a form of therapy, but we can use art to financially support their families.
Kristen is helping people like William, partly because she knows the struggle.
I have taken care of both of my brothers who've been in and out of prison for a year or two, taking my brother from job to job to job and constantly being turned down for a felony.
For William and Kristen, this isn't just a tea shop.
No.
Not even close.
No. Nowhere near. It's way more than that.
They hope the many layers in their mission,
but those layers are like concrete,
give it strength.
I make a bumper sticker that says that.
For Next, this is Ann Herbst.
Kristen apparently didn't feel like she had enough going on, you know, running a new business and all. So she is also starting a criminal justice through the arts project, which will include art therapy for former inmates. Here is an interesting historical note. As of today, the Berlin Wall has now been down for as long as it was up. One of the most visible symbols of the Iron Curtain stood in place for 10,316 days, and it has been gone now for 10,316 days. The German Democratic Republic started building it between East and West Berlin in August of 1961. It began to come down on November 9th, 1989. Do you remember the day? Here's what it looked like on 9 News. We were an ABC affiliate at the time.
The government has announced that the open border free passage will continue for a couple of days, and then they will go to a system of multiple entry visas that will be valid for 6 months. So last night's mass crossing over each way was no aberration, and now it would seem there's no turning back. The Berlin Wall is really passé.
We are still waiting to hear from the El Paso County Sheriff, speaking about the death of deputy in the line of duty today, the first for that department since 1992. This again is Memorial Hospital, where the podium awaits El Paso County Sheriff Bill Elder and the Colorado Springs Police Chief Pete Carey. Little is known about the incident that led up to the officer's injuries today and what multiple law enforcement agencies say is the death of one El Paso County Sheriff's deputy. We know the incident happened near Galley and Memorial. That's on the east side of town. We've taken the music away because we understand that they are going to come up to the podium in just a moment, so we will not be going to commercial break. You will see the news conference here in just a moment. Officers on the scene in the midst of everything happening. We know that radio traffic is often unreliable. It is certainly unconfirmed, but it gives you an idea of what kind of resources are being called in. We know that officers on the scene radioed that there were 3 officers down. KOAA is the NBC affiliate in Colorado Springs. They have multiple crews out covering this. We have crews down there as well from 9 News, including our Katie Eastman, who's standing by to ask questions at this press conference. Rob Quirk, who's the main anchor at KOAA down there in the Springs, says that one El Paso County Sheriff's deputy has died and there is another officer in surgery. This is the 3rd line of duty death in Colorado in 6 weeks. The first being December 31st death of Douglas County Deputy Zachary Parrish, and then the death earlier this month of Adams County Deputy Heath Gum. We're going to listen in now as this press conference gets assembled and takes a look. There are 8 states in America that have seen a line of duty death this year, and if we are about to hear what we think we are going to hear, Colorado will now have seen its 2nd. There you see Colorado Springs Mayor John Souther standing by at the far right in the suit as well.
Thank you for coming. Tonight we're going to have a short press conference in regards to the incident that took place this afternoon. First speaking will be Chief Carey of the Colorado Springs Police Department. Second, we will have Sheriff Elder from the El Paso County Sheriff's Office. These will be statements and informational briefs only. There will be no questions. And now, Chief Carey.
Good evening. This afternoon at about 4 o'clock, officers from the Colorado State Patrol, the El Paso County Sheriff's Office, and the Colorado Springs Police Department were in the area of the 4200 block of Galley Road. That's in the city of Colorado Springs. They were investigating a motor vehicle theft. They encountered an adult male suspect. A struggle ensued, and shots were fired. As a result, a civilian was injured by gunshot and transported to Memorial Hospital. 3 El Paso County Sheriff's deputies were injured by gunfire and transported to this hospital. And a CSPD officer was injured by gunfire and transported to the hospital. I could speak about the CSPD officer right now. I'll let the sheriff talk about his personnel. The CSPD officer is in surgery right now and in stable condition. One suspect is deceased on scene. There is no continuing threat to the community. There are no other suspects sought by the police department, the sheriff's office, or the state patrol. This is indeed a difficult day for our agencies. Tonight there is no distinction between our uniforms, state patrol, sheriff's office, and the Colorado Springs Police Department. Our hearts are all broken.
Good evening, everybody. It is with profound sadness that I say that this afternoon, Deputy Micah Flick, 34 years old, was shot in the line of duty and has died. Micah is survived by his wife and 7-year-old twins. Today was his 11th anniversary with the Sheriff's Office. His current assignment is as a detective in our investigations division, but he has served in the jail at CJC's floor security, in court and transport, with our special response team, and on patrol. He was hired February 5th, 2007. 34 years old, born August 20th, 1983. Deputy Flick was an outstanding member of my agency, and he will be missed. Thank you.
Updates as it relates to the investigation will follow from the Deadly Force Investigations team, and thank you all for coming.
And that is all they have to say in Colorado Springs tonight. Colorado has now seen 3 line-of-duty deaths of law enforcement officers since New Year's Eve. You heard from the sheriff himself, Larry Elder. Deputy Micah Flick, 34 years old. For perspective, born 1983. Leaves a wife and 7-year-old twins. Today was his 11th day with that department. We've looked, his 11th anniversary with the department. We look back on the 3 line-of-duty deaths in our state in the last 6 weeks, and what do you have? You have a mental health call, you have the report of a fight, a disturbance in Thornton, and then today a car theft case that brought them to Memorial and Galley on the east side of Colorado Springs around 4 o'clock today. A joint response by the police department and the sheriff's office, a struggle with a suspect ensuing, and then 5 people shot. Civilian, 3 deputies, and 1 Colorado Springs police officer. Chief says that officer is in surgery and described his condition as stable. We know the suspect, the only person involved in this incident from the other side, is dead. No further danger to the community. And now it all begins again for the 3rd time in 6 weeks. Another thought when we return in just a moment. Natasha Gum, the wife of fallen Adams County Deputy Heath Gum, implored our community just last week to stop these senseless tragedies. Of course, the tragedy of these things is that no one who cared to watch the deputy's funeral or was moved by that scene that we saw for the 2nd time in 4 weeks cares one bit about a widow's plea to prevent further violence to the men and women who serve our community. We have a number of 9 News crews down in Colorado Springs gathering information about tonight's incident and whatever we can learn about Deputy Micah Flick with permission of his office and his family. We will continue our coverage of his line-of-duty death throughout the evening on the 9 News app, on 9news.com, and then resume our coverage on 9 News at 9 and 9 News at 10.